we all got the same 24 hours. What I find out is this, that busy people get things done. And people who aren't busy always say they got stuff to do, but they ain't doing nothing but watching Netflix and playing video games. And there's nothing against Netflix and video games, but if I'm trying to hit my dreams and goals, like I don't want to watch somebody else do theirs. I want to go do mine.
Tell me about kind of when you made that move from working at JP Morgan, you decided you were going to go out on your own. Like, what was that like for you?
A lot of prayer, bro. That's scary. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, for a lot of people who want to be an entrepreneur and then go at it full time, that's a scary feeling to go for something guaranteed. And when I say guaranteed, I'm talking about like your job, your paycheck, because you show up, results or not, you get paid. That's right. That's kind of how most jobs are. But when you're an entrepreneur, if you don't, you got to hunt, kill, and cook. You know what I'm saying? So you got to do all of that.
When you leave a W-2 job and become an entrepreneur, it's not a vacation. Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today, I'm here with Tyler Osborne. He's a financial educator, public speaker, and host of the Money Master podcast, where he helps people rethink how they approach money, wealth building, and long-term financial strategy. So, Tyler, I'm going to stop there because it's going to sound much better when you tell your story. But first of all, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for being here today and taking time out of your day to come chat with me. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, let's start with you. Let's tell us about you. Tell us about your background, kind of what got you to where you are today.
For sure. So I'm born and raised in California, the east side of San Jose, which is kind of known as the hood. And honestly, sports saved my life through Jesus Christ, I should say that. So sports saved my life. And the reason I just say that is because the majority of my friends growing up are either no longer living in prison or strung on drugs. So kind of thank God I got away from them. My little brother was actually shot 5 times and survived. We didn't grow up in the same household, but that's still my little brother. And then also one of my close friends was shot 12 times and he actually lived as well. And that actually just happened about almost 2 years ago. But he's in prison for almost the majority of the rest of his life now, but God bless him. But that was just kind of where I came from. That was the environment, that if that kind of makes sense. So when I say sports saved my life, it literally saved my life. And I got a football scholarship to the University of St. Mary's in Kansas. 2010 also was called the Small School NFL Combine, basically for kids who go to small schools. They have you compete at a combine. And then if you're good enough, you end up going to one in Indianapolis that everyone's familiar with. That's on nationally televised and things like that. So didn't get drafted. Had to figure out what I was going to do next. I got my degree in psychology. Originally, I wanted to be a marriage counselor. Then I got married and kind of decided, no, I want to be a marriage counselor. That's kind of how that worked out. Still married, got 4 kids, an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old. Boy, girls, how they're born, which is pretty cool. But kind of had to figure out what to do next. And I found the number one reason that people were splitting up was because of finance. I said, okay, if that's the number one reason that people are splitting up, I should probably work in that industry because I still want to impact marriages somehow, some way. But didn't really know exactly how I was going to get into the financial industry. And I just kind of remember being up one night and kind of praying. And I felt like the Lord just kind of impression on me to go ahead and apply for JP Morgan. So I decided to go ahead and get up the next day and start applying for them. And as I was applying for them, I was actually doing a portion of their application that consists of a test, which is actually like a math test. It's like an algebra test to be exact. And I'm taking this stupid algebra test on a Friday, and I just got so frustrated. I was like, man, I don't want to do this crap no more. So I just stopped in the middle of it. I told my wife, let's go see a movie. The movie had to be trash. I can't remember the movie to this day. But ended up getting home probably around about 11:30 at night or so. And I was about to go to sleep and got that same impression kind of from the Lord again. I was like, hey, go back and finish that application. So I got up and did. And I finished the application and I was taking this freaking math test like 1 a.m. in the morning on a Friday night, going to like Saturday morning. Anyways, I got a call the very next Tuesday, a couple of days later, from a lady named Jeannie Cox. Shout out to Jeannie. Hopefully you're doing well in life. But she was a recruiter for JP Morgan. And she was like, hey, Tyler, how you doing? You did very well in the math portion of our application. We like to schedule you in for an interview. I said, oh, really? Okay, great. So she scheduled me in for an interview. I ended up going to interview at a location in Mountain View, California, which is in the Silicon Valley. Anyways, went out to this interview and did pretty well with the guy I met with, the branch manager or whatnot. And he was like, hey, can you come back maybe like in an hour or two and meet with the district manager? I said, okay, great. So I'll go ahead and do that. Came back, met with the district manager. And sat down with this guy, and for like the next hour and a half, he just kind of told me how unambitious I was because I didn't have a job for the last year and a half because I was just focused on playing in the NFL. Maybe he didn't understand how big the NFL is here in the United States or how big football was, but he just said I wasn't ambitious because I didn't have a job. And I was like, okay, and kind of left the interview feeling kind of down because for one, I felt for sure I wasn't getting this job because that dude did not like me at all. And I was like, all right, that's fine. So I left. And a couple of days later, Jeannie called me back. And she was like, hey, Tyler, how'd it go with the interview? I was like, yeah, I probably didn't get that. And I kind of explained what happened. She was like, oh, don't worry. I'm going to set you up with another interview outside that guy's jurisdiction. I said, okay, cool. So I ended up going on an interview. Well, they called it a hiring event, really. Well, that's what JP Morgan called a hiring event. But I went to this event. There's 3 of us there. So, I don't know how much of a hiring event it was. But anyways, I'm in this sitting in this. It's a very small event.
Yep.
So I'm sitting in this room, and it's me and this guy named Eric Powell and somebody else. I can't remember what the guy's name was. And we're sitting down talking. And for the next hour and a half, all he talked to me about was football and my college experience when it came to football and leadership and the disciplines I learned from playing sports. And that's all we talked about for the next hour and a half. And from there, I left there feeling pretty good. Ended up getting a call probably a couple days later from a lady named Vicky who had a branch out in Saratoga, California / Cupertino. They're kind of right next to each other. And ended up interviewing her, and she basically hired me on the spot. That's how I kind of got my foot in the door with JP Morgan and finances. Then I was there for the next couple years. And while I was there, basically, if a person have a certain amount of money, we really couldn't sit down and talk. And I necessarily didn't like that because I just met a lot of people I couldn't help. And eventually I ended up meeting somebody that decided he'd mentor and train me on what I could do to kind of own my own firm. And I just kind of did everything he told me to do. And a year later, I had my own business. So that's kind of how I got into business for myself. And then how I got into public speaking, I just kind of was always talking to people that I was leading and guiding. And one day got kind of offered to come to a college and speak for the first time and fell in love with that. And that's kind of how I turned that into a career as well. And then in the podcast, man, shoot, I'm good at speaking. So I was like, well, I should probably be talking to people more often, and came up with the podcast about a year or so ago, and rocking and rolling, man, and love every bit of it.
Great. Excuse me. It's crazy that you lacked ambition trying to join the 12-13 billion dollar industry of the NFL. That's a small company involved. It might be even more than that now. I don't know, but yeah. Some people don't get it. Some people, the dedication and ambition that it takes to try to play sports at a professional level is I think a lot of people do lack that dedication and ambition, but people doing it is quite the opposite. That is all dedication and ambition and a high chance of sort of not making it to that level. So kind of funny that was that experience. But that aside,
his view is weird, dude. I mean, to this day, like this, and we're talking, bro. This happened, man. This is 2010, maybe 2011, one of those years. And I'm telling this story 15 plus years later. Like it was, you know what I mean? I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. Yeah.
It might have only been like a $9 billion company at that point, so it was still small. But the funny thing is, I mean, we see this a lot on the podcast. It's like our cumulative experiences that create us and shape us into the person that we become over time. You talked about how you grew up, and I'm sure that had an influence on your money mindset, I guess, if you will, the way that you kind of look at how money is involved in life, and maybe that alone was very influential when you said you were at JP Morgan and not able to help people that didn't have enough a certain amount of money. And I think that's like I said, everything shapes us. You mentioned that you went to school for psychology, wanted to be a marriage counselor. Understand that you changed your mind on that after getting married, which I don't know. Have to ask your wife what that means really. But how did that influence or play out in regards to then, sort of pursuing this job at JP Morgan? I think there is a lot of human psychology in the finance world, so I don't think it's totally unrelated. But in terms of that recruitment process, it didn't sound like you had like a obvious, anyway, financial background.
Are you planning a remodel or construction project? Overwhelmed by the process? Over budget? Extended timelines? Strained relationships? We are all too familiar. At Lark Construction Services, we help homeowners and business owners take control of their construction journey, from reviewing bids and contracts to catching red flags before they become costly mistakes. Our Clarity Audit is a one-on-one expert review of your plans, estimates, or current progress, giving you the peace of mind and a defined action plan to move forward with confidence. Don't let confusion lead to costly errors. Visit larkconstruction.com and schedule your free call today. Lark Construction Services, saving you time, money, and stress.
None whatsoever. None. Like I've always been good at math, but honestly, like there's computers for that stuff. So it's not like you necessarily need to be good with it, nowadays, because you can just put everything to a computer and they'll spit out a report for you. But no, I didn't have any finance background whatsoever. I think what they saw is that I just had people skills. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to finances, although it does deal with numbers, but if you cannot relate with people, it's going to be hard for you to really help people. So for me, my skill, I guess, that they saw was that I had people skills, and the people skills derived from obviously being around people my whole life. I got a lot of siblings, 6 sisters and 4 brothers. So quite a bit of siblings. And then, I've been playing sports my whole life too. So I've been able to get along with people my whole life. So I guess that's kind of where the psychology portion kind of related to that, just because I understood how, or I still to this day understand human nature and how people think.
Tell me about kind of when you made that move from working at JP Morgan, you decided you were going to go out on your own. Tell me about that transition. Sounds like you had a mentor involved. Like, what was that like for you? Because I think that, it's a hard thing to do. I recognize the challenges associated again with like selling people on the managing their money. So how did you make that transition?
Mm-hmm. A lot of prayer, bro. That's scary. I ain't even gonna lie. Like, for a lot of people who want to be an entrepreneur, and then go at it full time, that's a scary feeling, to go for something guaranteed. And when I say guaranteed, I'm talking about like your job, your paycheck, because you show up, results or not, you get paid. That's right. That's kind of how most jobs are. But when you're an entrepreneur, if you don't, you got to hunt, kill, and cook. You know what I'm saying? So you got to do all of that. So it's scary, man. I remember there was the first time that I felt like the Lord was impressing upon me to go full time. I was crying, dude. I was like, what? Man, I got 3 kids. You know what I mean? They're on the way. You want me to go full time? Like, it's scary, dude. So for sure, that's one thing. Next thing, a person, I'd say, for at least for me, I had to have a plan, in which I did. I did have a plan. And then the most comforting thing is that I actually had money saved. Like that's probably one of the main things. So I'd say for a person that is currently working a 9 to 5 and they're trying to go and become a full-time business owner, and that's all that they do, have some type of game plan. For me, I had a game plan, a mentor, and money saved. So I gave myself a minimum of 6 months to get things going, just because based upon, what I had saved and stuff like that to cover my expenses. So that means for the next 6 months, I knew as long as anything that I had coming on top of what I had already saved is going to help me get by. So the good thing about the industry that I'm in is you can make quite a bit of money pretty quickly, based upon helping people and things like that. So it's all going to be based upon what industry a person's in. But for me, I had already been in finances. I already knew kind of how it worked. So it wasn't a hard transition. It was just more of, now I got to get my name out there compared to relying on JP Morgan's name. Like, JP Morgan's a huge brand. Right. Like, they're everywhere. So people come to JP Morgan, they don't care about, who the person is that helps them there because they're trusting the brand as a company. Now, when it comes to me and that person coming to me and learning about my products and services, well, first of all, I don't particularly have any products and services. I still work with very large companies that I match people up with, their products and services, but they're coming to me trusting that I'm going to put them in the best product and service, whichever company's going to fit those needs. So even to this day, I got no loyalty to no companies. My loyalty is all to the clients. So, but that part was the hard part, was just, for one, getting over fear, because all it is false evidence appearing real. It's a person usually worried about the things that never usually happen. Like, oh, how am I going to take care of this? Or how is this going to happen? And, everything eventually ends up everything works out usually, for the most part. And it did for me. It all worked out. So being able to overcome my fear of, not having enough or running out, and, just all the scarcity mindset crap which usually never even happens to a person. So that was one thing, overcoming that. So once I overcame the scarcity mindset of being able to worry about what's going to happen the next day and stuff like that, because that's usually what people worry about when they're trying to go ahead and start a business or going from being an employee to becoming an entrepreneur. It's always the fear of not having enough, or how your bills going to pay, and this and that. So once a person overcomes that, you really kind of become unstoppable, because it's like, when there's no longer any fear, what's really going to stop you? So it's on now. Is it going to be your laziness or your work ethic? So for me, I'm not a lazy person when it comes to working and pursuing my dreams. Like, I'm a very patient person, but I'm impatient for my dreams and goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I understood hard work, and I'm not, scared of hard work. So I'd say for anyone who's listening that wants to be an entrepreneur and they currently start a job, as long as you're willing to go ahead and get over your fears and not be lazy and actually do the work, you'll be fine. But if you don't treat your business like you have a 9-to-5 up front, you're going to be right back to a 9-to-5, because, just because you become an entrepreneur, that doesn't mean you no longer need an alarm clock. You can get up when you want to. Like, heck no. Like, I'm more structured with my schedule now than I was when I was an employee. Like, I have a set time for which I do everything, just about. And that's really helped guide me.
Yeah. Yeah. I could not agree more with that. And I think that the structure piece of it is interesting to talk about, because I mean, this was something that I found when I went from, sort of that W-2 world to being my own boss, business owner. And it was like, sure, you're going to have some fear. You kind of have to ignore it, or at least not put too much stock in the things that you're afraid of, and kind of, have some confidence to work through them. I found the hardest part, and sometimes still find the hardest part, is just exactly like what you're talking about. Is it's like, you have to, when you leave a W-2 job and become an entrepreneur, it's not a vacation, right? Like, you're not, you can't be lazy. Like you mentioned, you have to work hard, but it's very easy to get almost like overdo that, in a sense where that's what I found. I was like, and I mean, I still do it to some extent, but it's like, I was just like, well, now I can work all the time. I don't even have I have no boundaries on, how much I work and whatnot, which is great, but also you can burn yourself out quickly. You can, if you've got a family, there's, leaving people behind. So there are balances to strike, but no doubt, like, you're going to have to work hard. If you want to go out into business for yourself, you're probably going to work harder than you did when you had a job. So it's, I think, just kind of understanding what that all is going to look like. And you mentioned a savings and a plan, and kind of all of these things that help set yourself up for success, versus just saying, oh, I don't like this job anymore, so I'm going to do my own thing. And it's not that simple, and understanding that you have to approach it with a plan, I think is a great message.
Yeah, for sure. And I tell people as well, like, I only work half days. You know what I mean? I only work half days, just 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, now it's so much different, my work, because it's like, yeah, I do finances, but I got a team for that. So it's not like I'm always sitting down with clients myself. I got people to help with that. I just focus on the skills that I'm good at, which are doing the podcast and speaking and that type of stuff. And that brings clients in for the financial stuff, which is cool as well. But I think it's, you just focus on your strengths, especially when you're opening a business. Focus on what you're good at. I think sometimes, especially when you're small, you got to do everything kind of a little bit until you're able to start hiring and leveraging time and stuff like that. And that's probably one of the biggest things is being able to leverage someone else when you're running a business. Because as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we want to do everything, and we typically always want control. But just because you want control of everything and you do everything, you're not going to have growth just because there's only you.
Yeah.
So eventually you have to, in order to scale this thing, you're going to need to hire people or have people on your team within your organization that can do the things that you can leverage them to do without you being there to help the business grow.
Yeah. It's a great point. I mean, I think we often end up being our own worst bottleneck by that. You a lot of times you become an entrepreneur because you want more control of what you're building, but you have to recognize, like, if you want to build something big, you are going to have to give up some of that control and delegate and be able to trust other people to bring their skills to the table and be, we can't do everything ourselves and we can't be good at everything ourselves. And so just, kind of understanding that some of that control will have to be relinquished is a good thing to probably start to wrap your head around at the beginning. Think about it at the beginning. Like, what can I get off my plate? What can I hand off to someone else, and kind of work in that direction. And like you said, focus on the things that you're good at. If your, superpower, if you will, is to speak to people and kind of spread your message and talk about why it's important to you, like, that's where you should be. And then let other people do, kind of the other parts of the business. So it makes a lot of sense. I think that's a great approach. You said you have 4 kids.
I do.
It's like I have 2. I have 2, and sometimes I'm like, this is too many. But I think that interestingly, sounds like you're kind of going through this with a family. So how do you work that out? Because I like I said, I've got 2 kids myself, and I think about this a lot. How am I going to be good dad and also good business owner and entrepreneur and good husband, and how do you fit it all together? What's the magic recipe for this, Tyler?
If a person wants balance, go to yoga. But no, in all seriousness though, I involve my kids, I involve my family. I'm big on involving them with the things that I do. I live by what are called the 5 F's, which stands for faith, family, fitness, finances, and fun. And I incorporate my kids in just about all aspects of that. So, when it comes to my faith life, I'm big on doing Bible studies with my family and things like that on Sunday nights. When it comes to spending time with my family, I go to the gym every day. So I take 2 of my kids with me to the gym every day. So then they're with me at the gym. And then, but also we have set family days, like Sunday's just family day for us. And then when it comes to my fitness, I'm in the gym every day as well, grinding it out. And then when it comes to finances, obviously stuff like this, I'm working. And then fun, I make sure I like video games, stuff like that. So I'm good at putting everything in my calendar. So I think a lot of people, the reason why they're disoriented in certain parts of their life, because they're not actually putting in their calendar. And if they have no structure to things or know what they want to grow in life, what happens is they get disoriented, and then for seasons they can just feel like, hey, only thing I'm focused on is my business. I've neglected my family. I've neglected my faith. I don't even know how to have fun anymore. And on top of that, I just gained 25 pounds. You know what I mean? So a person ends up getting real out of order because they don't necessarily have a structure or a foundation. My foundation is my faith. That's my foundation. I'm rooted. I'm grounded in that. That's just the person that I am, and I'm okay with that. And I'm unapologetic about it either, if that makes sense. And so that's just who I am. And then from there, everything else is in order. So my faith, and then comes my family, and then my fitness, and then my finances. Because if I put my finance before my fitness, I never heard anyone on their deathbed talk about how much money they wish they would have made. They just probably wish they would have been healthier. So I find out that health is wealth. So I treat that very importantly in my life. So, and then I want to make sure I still know how to have fun. Like for me, it's hard when I ask a person like, what do you do for fun? Well, it's just my business. Huh? Like I get it. Like there's nothing wrong with loving what you do, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying what you do. But if you don't know how to have fun outside of business, like what's going on when you're not working? Like what do you do? Like and I get it, there's nothing wrong with being obsessed, because I'm big on obsessions, because I understand and believe that being obsessed with something, there's nothing wrong with healthy obsessions, but I still I still like to have fun, meaning like I'm big on my birthday. I'm big on doing stuff that I still would have did when I was 13. We go to water parks and theme parks and indoor water parks, or we're going to go bowling or golf carting. So I'm doing things which I know my kids enjoy, but I still genuinely enjoy them myself too. And then we have usually once a quarter, we do a real big game night. And I'm not saying like we already do game nights with like me and my kids and my wife and stuff like that. But I'm talking about like I have them invite their friends and I invite my friends, and we all bring, it's probably like 25 to 30 people in a room, or so 20 to 30 people in a room. And we're doing minutes winning games. I usually do that once a quarter, bring people together. So I'm still incorporating things to have fun. And I'm making sure that I'm showing my kids the way, because I believe as the leader goes, so does everyone else. You know what I mean? So if me as the leader of the family, if I'm determining the rate that we're going at and the lifestyle that I'm leading and being disciplined and showing them how to do it, they have no choice but to just follow. And I'm real intentional with growth. I just believe if I get 1% better in my 5Fs every single day, in 100 days, I'll be 100% better on all those aspects as well. So I'm just intentional really about putting things in my calendar and being structured about it. And here's the crazy part. I track everything too. Right. So I track it. So I'm tracking my fitness. I'm tracking my finances. I'm tracking my faith. I track that stuff because I'm intentional about it. What I find out is a lot of people are not intentional about being or having growth in areas of their life. And if you're not tracking it, you're not attacking it either. So you're not getting any better at it. So I just track a lot of stuff. And the crazy part is like, I'm an action first guy. It's like, there's something that I call STAR. And it just stands for structure, technical, action, relationship, just different personality types. I'm a double AR. Like I'm super action and then I got a little relationship. I'm not too structured at all. That's really my wife. And, but when it comes to how I want to grow in areas, I just learn to track it. And, because I just want to be intentional with it. And I care so much about my kids. I rather have my kids than a business. Like they're only going to be there. This time I will never get back with it. Like the most valuable asset I have is my time, and seeing my kids grow up and being around them, and they all play sports and we're a sports family, which is cool. But I just want to be intentional in seeing them grow. And on top of that, I just want to make sure that I'm around them enough that they get my thoughts, my mindsets, my personality. They get that, and plus whatever else they're going to have, and be better than me compared to them being around someone else that isn't on the same mindset or 100 or not 100, but 1,000,000% want them to do better than me. So I'm just real intentional, if that makes sense. I don't know. That was a long answer, bro. I'm sorry.
No. It makes sense. And I think the point about the calendar and scheduling things is something that I realized pretty early on that's like vital to making sure that you're maintaining all of those, the 5Fs, whatever values that you have, whatever is important to you, the only way to kind of keep up with it all is using a schedule, using your calendar appropriately. And it's funny. What I also then realized was I must have been wasting so much time before that I didn't even realize, like the amount of time the amount of free time that we actually have if you have, sort of a normal regular W-2 job, and you work 8 hours a day and say you sleep 8 hours a day, that's 8 more hours in that day that you have to do things. And it's like, until we had kids and then I had businesses, I was like I look back now and I'm like, man, I must have wasted a lot of time. But it's just kind of, you don't notice it until you're trying to add things to your day. And then you're like, I just added something and it didn't destroy my day. let me see if I can do that again. And like, you just do it incrementally. It's very, very, you can start to pick those things up. So, but I do think the calendar and the schedule and kind of keeping it structured really helps that process happen without like sending everything off the rails.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like it's such a big thing, especially for me. What I've noticed being an entrepreneur is me being able to wake up a lot earlier, and I get so much more done.
Yeah.
Like my day starts, I get up about 5:30 in the morning. I get to the gym about 6. I'm in the gym for about an hour and a half, and I'm done by 7:30, sometimes 8 o'clock. And but that's just how my day got started. You know what I mean? I've already knocked out my workouts. One day I've already done. I'm gonna go home, shower real quick, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump into get into my Bible and stuff like that. And then afterwards, my first appointment usually starts around about 10 o'clock. And then I'm just working from 10 until, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 o'clock, depending upon how many interviews I got to do or how many speaking things I got to do, whatever it may be. And then, I do about 85% of the cooking in my household. So then I'm cooking, but a lot of times when I'm cooking, I got my daughters helping me as well. So I'm spending some time again with my family. And so it's just, you can get a lot done. We all got the same 24 hours. What I find out is this, that busy people get things done. And people who aren't busy always say they got stuff to do, but they ain't doing nothing but watching Netflix and playing video games. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
And there's nothing against Netflix and video games, but if I'm trying to hit my dreams and goals, like I don't want to watch somebody else do theirs. Right. I want to go do mine.
Yeah, completely agree. Probably a good segue to this. I ask every guest, the name of the show is Know Your Why. I'm sure you've touched on some of it here, Tyler, but I want to ask you the question directly. What is your why? What's your motivation? And let you expand on that a little bit.
For sure. Well, my motivation is for 100% my family, leaving them a legacy. But also for the people within my bloodline that are not even born yet. I want them to be able to look back and see that there was someone that was great within their bloodline, whether it be hearing me on a podcast, this podcast 20, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, when I'm not here anymore, or whatnot, or reading a book or an audio, something in which they see that there's greatness within their bloodline. They can go ahead and reach greatness too. And that's one thing. But then also too, I think about people that I haven't met yet, or I may never meet in this lifetime, that I want to impact and affect as well, through giving and things like that. So I'm big on becoming the best version of myself so I can help others as well.
Fantastic. When people hear this and they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Oh, absolutely. They can reach me. They can go to my website, moneymasternation.com, or you can reach me on IG or TikTok, moneymaster408. You can reach me in those places.
Perfect. Well, we'll get those in the show notes. Tyler, thanks for coming on the show today. This was great. A lot of the message you talk about really resonates with me. So thank you for sharing, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Folks listening, make sure you connect with Tyler. Please like, rate, and review the show so we can continue to get great guests. And as always, thank you for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?